Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates for only like $5 a month. And in this video, I no longer have to use Paint to describe what's going on in the market. Yes, my internet is back, meaning that I can actually show you what I want to talk about. And as you can see, Cardano actually dropped below the trend line right here, which is not a good sign. Our 1-2 setup almost got invalidated. Now it's not invalidated yet because the invalidation point is at about 65 cents. However, it's not looking too great because we got below it and it looks like we are actually using it as resistance right now, which is, not the best thing to see, and we are also below the 200-day moving average. Now there is some hope. We got to the oversold territory on the 4-hour chart, which means that we could actually start a bounce. However, that's not guaranteed because the 1-2 setup that we have, it's not the best 1-2 setup. Like I said, the second wave almost got invalidated, so it's likely that we actually invalidate it and get below this low right here. And if we do that, and by the way, you have to know that the fourth wave move down actually dropped below the 0.76 support level that I had on the chart, meaning that if we do that, we could actually get another low in the second wave move down, and well, that's just gonna be a mess after that, meaning that we might have to get a double bottom and hit about 50 cents before we actually continue with a bigger pump. So if we invalidate the whole 1-2 setup here, which it's not gonna be too difficult to do, if we invalidate that, we are most likely getting a double bottom, which could put Cardano at 50 cents. Now, if we actually get some type of bounce, then the next target is 92.3 cents. That's the target for the third wave of the 1-2 setup. And I mean, that's the 200% extension. Are we going to get there? It's highly unlikely, especially when you look at what Ethereum and Bitcoin are doing, but you never know. Now, Cardano is still looking just fine. I mean, we are still near the bull market support band, but we are getting rejected by everything else. So we'll see how this does. Now, I need to talk about Bitcoin as well because Bitcoin is also important. And as you can see, we are currently in an uptrend. However, it's not the best looking uptrend. We did get to the oversold territory right here, but we also got rejected by the bull market support band. And this is actually very normal. Bitcoin usually does get rejected by the bull market support band after testing it the first time. And right now, it's going to be very important to see what happens next. If we do not manage to even get back above the 200-day moving average, then it's not going to be good, and it's likely that Bitcoin also gets a double bottom. Now, I've been talking about the double bottom scenario for quite some time now, but I never expected it to happen on the Bitcoin chart. I pretty much expected it to happen on the Cardano chart, but by the looks of it, we might get it on Bitcoin as well, and we could actually test the 50% extension because we'd never really tested it here. Yes, we got close to it, but we did not test it, so we could actually get another low, and it's gonna be just a double bottom in my opinion, but yeah, another low is very likely to happen, and from where we're at, it's not gonna be a big drop. I mean, we're already at like $83,000, so if we actually drop right now, that would be a 9% drop, which is not a lot. Now, just like Cardano, Bitcoin also got to the oversold territory, and like I said, the last time we got to that level was at about $76,000, so we could see a bounce, and if we do see a bounce, the next targets are the 200-day moving average, which is at like $86,000, and then the bull market support band, of course. And what we need to do first is break above this high right here, which is at $88,000, almost $89,000, and then break above the bull market support band as well, which is, let's say, at about $95,000, and then I can actually confirm that Bitcoin might get to about $140,000 by the end of May. So it's still likely as long as we actually do what Bitcoin usually does, and that is to go up. Now, if you go on the daily chart, well, not the daily, the weekly chart on the Bitcoin chart, it's also very important to notice that this drop that we have right now is the third drop of the cycle. And why is this important? Well, because if you look at 2017, the third drop of the cycle was the summer drop right here in July, and I'm hearing a bunch of theories that maybe the drop that we are getting right now is the summer drop, and maybe we are not going to get a summer drop. I don't really want to believe that right now because Bitcoin is still, going up, at least in the short term. However, I'm going to start believing that more and more if Bitcoin does not actually get above $100,000 very, very soon, because I think it's still possible to get to about $140,000 by the end of May and still get a summer drop after that. Now, keep in mind, the first drop that we had right here, when we dropped to about 25K. The second drop, we dropped to 50K. This drop right here will most likely put us at 75K, which is the 50% support level. and then the next drop could put us at 100k. I mean, it only makes sense. And if we do something like that, then of course the drop is gonna be as big as the, 3 other drops that we had, meaning that we have to drop like another 30% to drop to 100k. And in order to drop 30% to get to 100k, we would have to go up to about $144,000. And well, I think it felt likely that we get this drop. Keep in mind, in the previous cycle, well, actually no, in 2017 cycle, we had about 4 drops in the post-halving year. And I mean, here, this was the first one. This was a 34% drop. Then the second one was 34% again. The summer drop was 38%, and we still had more drops after that. So as you can see, yeah, we are about to get a bunch of drops in this cycle as well. I mean, like I said, here in 2017, we had about, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops. And so far in this cycle, we've only had 3, meaning that we could still get to about $140,000 by the end of May, get the 4th drop right here, and maybe hit $100,000 to continue this pattern, then go up again, and at some point in October maybe go down a bit, and then get a new cycle high in December or November, and that's where Bitcoin tops for this cycle, and then we go down in the bear market. That's my theory. Is it going to play out exactly how I said? Well, I don't know, probably not. I mean, usually, it's really hard to predict what Bitcoin will do. However, we could actually get a big bounce right now just because Bitcoin got to the RSI levels of 44 on the weekly chart, and we got to these levels about 4 times in the past. Well, no, this is the 4th time right now, and we always reacted and we always went up in the short term after that. So I think it's likely that the low is in, but we could get another low, like I said, before we do something like that. And if we do get another low, that would be another test of the RSI level. And well, we do not really want to drop below this, because dropping below the RSI level of 44 will most likely mean that we are in a left transited cycle, because we cannot really lose the support zone. I mean, it's very, very important. So I'm still expecting Bitcoin to go up. Now, is it unrealistic to think that maybe Bitcoin will not go up to $140,000 by the end of May? Well, not really. I mean, from this low right here, the, March low, we would have to go up about 87% in a matter of about 70 days. Is that possible? Well, actually, yes, because we just had a move like that not even a couple of months ago. We had this move right here. This was an 80% move, and it lasted about 2 months. So it's definitely possible for something like this to happen. It's not out of the question. And well, right now what we need to focus on is Ethereum, because if Ethereum keeps going down, Bitcoin will continue to outperform it. And usually when Ethereum goes down, Bitcoin goes down with it. I mean, you do not really see Ethereum going up on its own. I mean, if Bitcoin, let's say, gets a pump, Ethereum usually follows it no matter what Bitcoin dominance does. So yeah, if we do get another low on the Ethereum chart, that will actually put us at the oversold territory on the weekly, and that's gonna be actually very, very bullish. The last time we were oversold on the weekly was down here, and this was actually the bear market low. And after we got to the oversold territory, as you can see, we went up like, let's see, about 2.5x in a matter of like 2 months. So it's definitely possible for Ethereum to still get to all-time highs by the end of May, and then still get the summer drop that everyone has been expecting. Now, this low right here was at about $800. Please keep that in mind. And before we actually got to the oversold territory here, before that, when you look at when Ethereum got to the oversold territory before this right here, it actually was another bear market low, and the price was $80. Is that a coincidence? Maybe, maybe not, but who knows? I mean, as you can see, each time we got to the oversold territory on the weekly RSI, it was an extremely good sign that the low is in, and that helped us, get to new highs after that. So I can actually see Ethereum dropping to these levels and, maybe like get to like $1,500, $1,600, and then we go into the 5th wave move up. Now, if that happens, Cardano will also suffer, and the double bottom scenario is going to become more and more likely. Now, speaking of Cardano, let me actually talk about it for a second. What's happening on the monthly chart is very, very important. As you can see, we are still above the moving average here on the RSI, and we have to stay above it, and there are like 2 days left of this month, so we definitely do not want to break below it, because breaking below it would actually break the structure, no matter if we want to believe believe it or not. So here in the previous cycle, as you know, we had the same 1-2-1-2 setup that we have in this cycle, and in this cycle that happened before the cycle, which was the previous cycle, I know, yeah, we actually reacted to the trend line right here, and we never got below it during the second 1-2 setup. So right now what we need to do is stay above it, because if we do not, we will not continue copying this structure right here, and it's gonna be very bad. So we'll see if we actually hold. And like I said, even if we get another move to the downside that puts us at like 50 cents, it should happen in like 2 days and not right now, because we do not want to see it right now. Now, is it going to happen right now? I don't know. It's possible. When you look at Ethereum, I mean, it's showing a lot of weakness, and Bitcoin dominance is going up again. As you can see, Ethereum is actually oversold on the 4 hours, so we could get some type of bounce relatively soon. But you have to keep in mind, we got below the 0.786 support level here. I had a support level for the members. Now, it's not the best support level, but as you can see, we broke below it, meaning that we will most likely get another low that could put us below $1,757. And is if that gonna happen? Well, maybe, maybe not. But like I said, getting to the oversold territory on the weekly chart is definitely gonna be bullish. But if we do not do that, we should see a bounce anyways, because Bitcoin dominance, I'm still expecting it to go down. I don't know if it's gonna go down right now, but tomorrow is Monday, which means that we have a new week, and well, that usually means that if we do not actually start going down on Monday, and if it keeps going up, it's likely that Bitcoin dominance will not drop right now, and we're gonna have to wait even more. But like I said, in the previous 2 cycles, for example in 2021, Bitcoin dominance started dropping, and in the first week of it dropping, it dropped about 3%. So don't expect a huge move to the downside all of a sudden. However, we still need at least something to tell us that the altcoin season, has a chance of starting. And yeah, I mean, even in the 2017 cycle, Bitcoin dominance started breaking down a lot at the end of March. So I'm not saying that we have to do the exact same thing again, but if we do, it's gonna be good. Now, if we don't, and if Bitcoin dominance somehow goes higher, the altcoins are going to take a hit. And well, actually, if you look at the ADA Bitcoin chart, it's not looking that bad. I mean, Bitcoin dominance is pretty much at cycle highs. However, ADA Bitcoin is still holding the 1-2 setup here. And I've been talking about the another low scenario for quite some time. As I said, this 1-2-1-2 setup here, well, it's not a 1-2-1-2 setup, but you get what I mean. It's looking the exact same as this right here, and as you can see here, after getting another low, then we bounced, and right now we did not get another low after getting this low, so we could actually drop again and get to like 500 satoshis before we get the third wave, because that's exactly what we did in the previous cycle right here. We also dropped below the 0.786 support level. So is it realistic to think that maybe we're about to have another drop on this chart? Well, maybe it is, and it's not going to be the end of the world if it does happen. But like I said, Bitcoin dominance kind of has to drop, because if it doesn't, and if we get the summer drop, it's gonna be extremely bad for the altcoins. Now, Cardano is still looking fine, and well, I don't really have to say anything about it, rather than the fact that, it's still very likely that we get to all-time highs by the end of May, if Bitcoin actually gets to about $140,000 by the end of that. So, well, we are still ready to, test the trend line again. The trend line is at about $1.60, but first we have to get above $1.14, which is the 0.618 resistance level, and then after we do that, we could be looking at new all-time highs very soon after that. So that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon. If you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.